Hi everyone, and welcome to the very big introduction to the customizer. I fear this video will be really long, but my intention here is to show you all the technical details about the customer. This means how to create your own libraries, how to make libraries compatible. And I will do this basically as a live modeling, so I will do everything here we need. And so yeah, it will probably take a while. The resulting model will just be an ugly stick figure, but yeah, I think that's already sufficient for explaining you how this works. And I would say we directly start with the torso. So for the torso, I would say we just take a cube. We can remove the sphere here. We need to take care that we're oriented correctly. I think this is the correct way. Let's have a look. Yeah, we have the z-axis pointing upwards, x-axis over there. I should switch on the grid so we see where the 0 point is, and this will be our torso. So let's just roughly think about 1 meter person has maybe 80 centimeters of torso, and if we have a scale of roughly 1 by 50, we have to divide 800 millimeters by 50, and this should be somewhere in the region of 16 millimeters. But let's take a calculator. We have 800 millimeters divided by 50. Yeah, that's 16 millimeters. So let's make it 16 millimeter high here. And then for the other proportions, we can just scale it how we think a human body would look like. Yeah, that's our brick human body. And now we have to look for the 0 point. That's over here. Our torso should be directly above the 0 point, because the 0 point is always the connection between legs and torso. And yeah, this is already our torso. Let's just export it as torso. That's important, the prefix, and call it ugly torso. The next thing we have to do is we need to tell the tool where actually the next parts should be connected. And I just added here the torso default file. And the torso default file, we could also rename it like this. Yeah, now we just have to say where we want to have the head, the arms, and the backpack. So we just go here, measure, take this, we do not snap, and this is our head position, roughly. Make sure to add the commas here. Then the right arm we have somewhere here. The left arm is probably over here. I'm not sure about the right arm. I think this was wrong. Yeah. And the backpack will probably be connected somewhere here. All right. And that's it already. That is our torso. Next thing we want to do is we want to design a head. I would say the head is just an ugly sphere. It's a bit small. Let's do it 8 millimeters. Yeah, and then more like this. And that probably make a bit around like that. Let's switch on the objects browser. Nice. We don't need that. We probably need some kind of neck. Let's just do a cylinder for that and make this cylinder quite small. What would you say? Is that a beautiful figure? No, it isn't, but should be enough for our purpose. Combine that, move that down here. Make sure to center it correctly. Yeah, and probably I even want to smooth a bit now. Like here, and just make it a bit smaller, that we don't have like these hard edges. Yeah, that's it. And now we'll move it down. So basically the rotation point is now here in the middle of this half sphere. So let's just export this at head underscore ugly head. And then we can already go in the customizer. Hit refresh here. And yeah, we need to select our parts. And something is not working. Yeah, it seems some problem here. We forgot to add the commas for every line. Now we have commas everywhere. Now it should work. Yeah, our beautiful figure is already there. And we already can move around the head. So we can like switch on auto draw. Nice, right? Okay, so we have the torso, we have the head. Let's design an ugly backpack for our model. Probably let's also just take something like this, make it a bit smaller. Is that nice? Yeah, it is. And again, the backpack you see should be at 0 roughly. A bit of overlap, as you can see here, is okay, but let's do it like this. And probably want to do a magic, right? So let's just take the inflate here and draw on it across. I should switch on the refinement. No, looks ugly. Probably we can just add some stamps here. What do we have? Let's add. I never used that feature actually. It's probably also not a good idea. Yeah, that's too easy. Let's do something here. Like this. So it looks just a bit better. Combine all that, export it as backpack, super ugly backpack. And again, we can do a refresh here, select random, and we have our backpack here. All right, we have these. Now here we have to start with hands, weapons, or legs. Probably let's do the legs first. So for the legs, maybe we want, let's just import some cylinders, make them again smaller, like here. It's even probably 4 millimeters is better. So this will be the thighs, the upper legs. Duplicate that, rotate it a bit, move it over here. Duplicate both of them, move them down here. And we can scale it down a bit for the lower legs. And of course, from this we could probably create a library for the legs generator, but I would say this will be too much for today's video, so let's just do it like that. Let's scale them single, so rotate them like this. this. So we have super nice legs now. Same for that side. Okay, I probably should add a hip too. So let me just this part as a hip. Yeah, that looks good. Combine that, export that, add legs, beard legs, and again refresh, select random. We have our model with legs. Nice. Okay, so probably let's do the base because the base is really easy. Base is just like, let's do a 25mm base, but that's the correct direction. And move it here somewhere in the center, move it down like that, export it as base. Again, refresh, select random, we have our base. Nice. Okay, and now it gets complicated. Let's take this, because now I want to create arms. And in my opinion, this already looks a bit like an arm now. It was a leg, but now it's an arm. Make it a bit smaller. Okay, and that. Then I want to have it smooth here with our connection point. Yeah, like that. Move it over here and let's export it. So we have we don't have a hand attached yet, so we will call this right without the hand, and let's call it arm1. The next thing we need to do is we need to tell the tool where to place the hand, and therefore we need another definition file, and that's the left one. I'll just take some default definition files and call it the same and open it, and you can see we have a shoulder. I would just keep this as 0. That's basically X, Y, Z, rotation X, Y, Z, so we can freely define where the shoulder should be and where the weapon, or in this case the hand with the weapon, should be. And this position we now need to find out. The easiest way to do this is by adding something like this. We just need a single triangle, and you see I just took that from the cube I had, and now I'm placing the triangle just like where the hand should be. So is that correct? I would say it's sufficiently correct. And now let's go back to measure. We should do the snapping here. And now the first point is our first line here. This second point, so basically the direction where the weapon goes, is the second line, and then the downwards direction is the third line. Again, add the commas because otherwise it will not work at all. And we have successfully defined our arm. Yeah, then we can continue and create a hand. Let's create an ugly hand. So if any one of you actually prints one of these models I created here, well, respect, it will be ugly, but make sure to drop me a message with your images, because I'd be just so overwhelmed if you actually took this library to print it. So this is our beautiful hand, and as I just said, we have our arm without the hand, so the hand is attached to the weapon. So we need a weapon here. What is the easiest way to create a weapon? Let's create a sword. Still too thick, like this. And now just make it like really long. A beautiful sword. Let's duplicate that, rotate that by 90 degrees and make it small again to have a guard. Oh, that's nice. Combine that, and this is our sword. So I will just duplicate that, combine it, and move it a bit over here so it doesn't bother us too much. I will just call this our arm and make it invisible. So we need to place our hand now again at 0. And as you can see, the hand is tilted a bit. So I will tilt the sword now. It fits better. And let's move this like here. Seems okay, right? So let's export this as weapon with the hand sword. And now, if we do a refresh and select random and go to the single arms, we have our 2-sword fighter here. And you see it's already placed where it should be. Of course, the angle is not perfect, but you see how quick and dirty I did it. And now we have our swords. So this is the WH variant, but we also have the even more variants. So let's combine this and export it as WO. So this means without the weapon, but with the hand attached. So now we have an arm with hand. So this is a WO, and save it. And at the same time, we can take the sword and place it here. So we also have a weapon. I can show you this too, like here. You see the weapon is just basically the top center point of the hand should be where the weapon is. So the weapon is placed like that. Let's call it weapon WO because without a hand. Save that. We can make it invisible once again. And we can do another thing, which I can just combine that. And this is now arm WW, which means with weapon. One thing we still need to do is now define the start point for our WO arm. So let's again take that, again remove the shoulder, and we have our, where's the triangle? Here we have the triangle, and now we can move the triangle where it should be, and that's up here. Direction is okay, let's move a bit like that. Yeah, the angle is also a bit wrong. Yeah, looks okay, right? Again, measure, take the first point, add it here, take the second point, add it in the next line, and the third point here. Actually, the triangle doesn't need to have a certain length because the tool will automatically scale it down. So it just needs both directions, no matter how long. So we have our WO arm, and for the WW arm, we don't need this because it's already combined. So let's go to the customizer, do another refresh. So you see, now we have our 3 arms. WH, so with the hand, that's what we just tested. Let's do the WO. And you see now when we select the weapon, only the WO is offered. And if we show it now, you see it's the same, but let's look at how we can move the weapon here. You see the weapon is moving out of the hand. If you do it for the other side, the weapon with the hand will move up. And if we select the WW arm here like this, we cannot select the weapon and we can only move the whole arm. All right, that was the magic for the arms. You see, it's like 3 variants. Both have, or all 3 have the ups and downs. I personally like the WO variant most because you can have generic weapons and you don't need a suitable hand attached to them. So for example, just take a pistol. That pistol could be used by an orc, by a human, by a robot, because the hand is already at the arm attached. But of course, if you have the hand attached to the weapon, the hand will fit better to the weapon because you can already do that in the tool. All right, did I miss something? Yeah, the shoulder. So we need some shoulder guards here, and I would suggest we just take like a sphere, for example. 5 millimeters, yeah, looks okay. And let's just cut up this sphere like this. Like this. And like this. Now we can stretch it a bit like, looks quite okay, right? Let's hide that, move that thing over here. So my rule for the shoulders is always like they're oriented like this, so the basically fits in this left upper part of our space, and of course here centered. Let's call it shoulder, new shoulder. And now let's just refresh, select random, and you see the shoulders are placed a bit funnily. And this is because of, one thing is they're not equal. And as you can see, we have defined the shoulders for the WO arms, but not the WW arms. And that's probably why this for the left hand, we have the WW arm that's taking a default definition file. But here, this is taking our zeros. So what we can now do here is we can take this shoulder and move it as we want. Is that looking good? Yeah. And then we should be able to just copy the values here. I hope that works. I never tried it. So let's just copy this shoulder definition also to the other file. And then we can refresh, reset the pose. And you see, okay, the angle has to be inverted. So let's just put a minus here in front of the 15. Show it again. And now the shoulder is where we want it. So you can copy the values, but you need to invert the angle here. And now let's just copy that for our WW, where we can just throw out the whole weapon stuff and just have the shoulder. And once again, and we have our shoulder here. Okay, I think I went into every detail of the customizer and I created a library. So it took me like 24 minutes to create a full customizer library with every part available. Oh no, not every part. We don't have a two-handed weapon. Let's do that. So what do we need for that? We need our arm, and probably we need another arm. Let's look at the torso here and move the arm over here. Let's mirror it. And this is our, these are our two arms. For the two arms, it's the same. Basically, you have, you can have a weapon added here, and then you cannot add any weapons in the customizer, or you have the hand attached here, or not the hand attached here, but only one hand. And it always assumes that it's the right hand. So yeah, we can now, let's add a spear, for example. Let's make it beautiful. Well, relatively beautiful compared to the rest of the library. And of course, extremely ugly compared to everything else. But it's a spear. Let's make this a bit smaller probably. And yeah, let's start with the easiest variant, the WW variant, where we just have this attached to one of the hands. Like this, then we can rotate the hand so it fits, and rotate this arm so our model is actually holding the spear. And let's now just combine that, export this, and now it's called arm B for both arms, again with weapon, and let's call it arm spear. Let's refresh, select random. It already works. Just one thing, we also need our definition file here. Let's call it like this. We can again remove the weapon, and we can add shoulder right and left. And of course, everything I did for the right arm can be done in the same way for the left arm, but the customizer can take for the right and left arm both variants and just mirror them. So for the shoulder left, we have to flip this, and I think also this angle. Let's see if it works. Yeah, the problem is the shoulder definition is now taken from the center, not from the attachment point of the arm. So let's look at the torso, how big our torso is. We are at -5 and +5, so we probably need to add this here. And we have for the right arm, we are at -5.2, so we're at -5.8, and here we're at 5.8. Draw again, and yeah, it starts to get a bit better. Probably the angle stuff was wrong. Yeah, the angle stuff was wrong. Let's switch to single arms. Why is it much higher now? Yeah, let's probably make this much smaller. Yeah, so we have our shoulder definition also for both hands. Next thing is we'll do the WH now. So this means, no, WO. So without the weapon, let's just export that without a weapon, just arms. And there we can again take our triangle and rotate it as we want to have it for our weapons. So like this, here. that. Okay, and yeah, we have exported them already. We can take our ARM definition file and add weapon. And now again, just measure. Our starting point is up here. Our front point is up there. And our bottom point is down here. Yeah, now we will have a small problem now, but that is easily fixable. Let's save that. And let's take this spare and also add this as a weapon. Because just having a sword is a bit boring, right? So that's sufficient. Let's call it weapon without hands. Spare. Done. Let's jump back to the customizer, refresh once again. Take our arms with the WO. Submit. And you see we have our sword already here. We can now select the spare. And you see the spare is pointing upwards. And this means we need to make it point downwards by 90 degrees. And you see it fits perfectly. We can now move it upwards until it fits nicely. And that's it. We have our two-handed arms, also both variants. We could, of course, add a hand here for the WH variant, but it's the same as for a single arm. So I will not go into detail about that. So we're now at 32 minutes. 32 minutes to create a new customer library from scratch. It's super ugly, I know, but it's a library. And I showed you everything you need to know to make your own parts compatible. Thanks a lot for watching. Make sure to show me any prints of this library. I will upload it to Cults. I know it's super ugly, but why not? Make sure if you create a library, just inform me so everyone can actually use the library. You are free to create libraries that cost money. If you're a designer, just take your library, make it compatible, write it in, for example, on Cults, write down this library is compatible with Udas Customizer, and you may charge money for that. So I don't care. You may do that. And anyone who has the customizer can download your library, pay money to you for that library, and then use it in Customizer. And of course, you can create free libraries. That's of course the thing I would suggest for everyone, because then everyone can use them without having to pay money. So for example, if you say, oh, I need that one hat from that library, but the library costs money, that's, yeah, it's not that good. But of course, if you're a designer, feel free to create paid libraries for the customizer. Because in the end, if someone really wants the models and create their own models from them, they're free to buy them from them. So this tool is completely open. I just showed you everything you need to know how to make your parts compatible to the customizer. Just let me know when you create something. I'd be really glad to know it, to spread the information about that with all the patrons, everyone. And thanks for watching this really long video. I hope you enjoyed it, and until next time.